on my way. Out the door, down the street, got to keep me on my feet. I got coffee, I got donuts in the office down the street. And the fat hat lady's faking a heart attack. And my manager yelling at me, say, can't give her money back. The bank called, the notice overdue. And that's just one more thing I gotta do. Till I get on to you. Till I get on to you. 12 o'clock, the lunch bell rings. Same thing every day. You better answer the phone in the proper tone. Yes, sir, whatever you say. Right on time, on the time. Got to keep me on my feet. I got contracts, I got lawyers in the office down the street. Bank jam is backing up more than I can stand. Things ain't working out the way I had them planned. Bank call the meeting, just a drink or two. That's just one more thing I gotta do. Till I get on to you. Till I get on to you. Till I get on to you. Till I get on to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on this Rising Voices session on water. We wanted to open up with just acknowledging the life that water brings to us in our communities and in all of the work, as we are going to be spending some time today kind of discussing our own experiences working with water. We also wanted to acknowledge our friend Janan, who was going to be joining us today to offer a water ceremony. And because she was unable to join us this morning, we are sharing some photos that we have pulled from a previous meeting in Duluth, Minnesota for Rising Voices a few years ago. And we were able to come together and share water with each other and in ceremony, and wanted to just spend some time, maybe just 30 seconds, reflecting on water in our lives with the images that you also get to see that are showing today. Thank you.
And with that, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Melissa, for that beautiful opening, and hope that those images can transport us to myself again, apparently, while we figure out our technology here. Thank you very much, Melissa Watkinson, for bringing us together again with your words today. Welcome, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. We're very happy that you've joined us once again for this new installment of the virtual Rising Voices 8 meeting online this year. Today we are talking about water systems, following up from the panel presentation, which hopefully you've been able to view the recording. I'm Heather Lazarus from the National Center for Atmospheric Research, and together with Julie Maldonado from the Livelihoods Knowledge Exchange Network, and with wonderful support from the Olohana Foundation and Lomikai Media, we'll do our best to take our interactions online, continue doing that. As you come on to the YouTube, please say hello, introduce yourself, say hi to folks. We recognize the sometimes hilarious limitations of the auto transcription feature on YouTube. Please bear with us. Hopefully it is helping or providing some light relief. A wee bit of background for anybody who is new to Rising Voices. Our center facilitates intercultural, relational-based approaches for understanding and adapting to extreme weather and climate events, climate variability, and climate change. And doing this, the program brings together Indigenous and other scientific professionals, tribal and community leaders, environmental and communication experts, students, educators, and artists from around the country and around the world. We acknowledge the inherent value of Indigenous knowledge systems and Indigenous sciences, adaptive practices, and processes, honoring these equally with those from the earth sciences. We aim to advance science through these collaborations that bring Indigenous and earth sciences into partnership, supporting adaptive and resilient communities through sharing scientific community, and providing opportunities for Indigenous students and early career scientists through scientific and community mentoring to build stronger capacity working together. Some of you hopefully have also joined us for our other virtual gatherings so far this summer. Today we are considering water systems. In these virtual sessions, everybody has an opportunity to speak and engage in the breakout groups that will follow a quick introduction here on YouTube. Similar to what we would do in person, we hope, with the added benefit that we can really look at the threads and the themes throughout each of these working group discussions, since we're able to all participate in each of them. For our process, just briefly this morning, we will soon have some background from Julie and Melissa, and then we will shortly go into the breakout groups through the Zoom link in the email that you have received this morning. If you do need help, please send an email to help@lomikai.com. And once you're in the Zoom, you will be assigned to a breakout group that will be facilitated and have note takers and more instructions at that point, with opportunities to introduce ourselves. After the breakout sessions, we'll meet back in the YouTube, where we will hear a summary from each of the breakout sessions. And with that, I will hand things over to Julie.
Thank you, Heather, and for everyone joining today. It is wonderful to be together. Hope this finds everyone doing well and healthy and keeping cool. Imagine where many of us are today. And so, we're gathering today specifically to be focusing really on sharing the importance of the changes occurring in both marine and freshwater ecosystems, thinking about how science and sovereignty respond to these changes, and reaching out to the Rising Voices community to understand what is your individual, personal, and collective vision for the collaborations and partnerships needed, and considering how Rising Voices can as that kind of boundary organization around support such collaborations to really weave together these separate strands of policy, science, and practice, and best support marine and freshwater ecosystems. And so today we're continuing to build from what emerged from previous Rising Voices working group discussions, the water systems panel session that helped inform today's conversation. I hope that everyone got a chance to watch that. It's up on the Rising Voices website, and we'll share that link again in just a moment. And so really coming into this space with good intention, with good heart of sharing our collective visions together today. With that, I will hand it back over to Heather. We're gonna share some reflection, summary thoughts from last year's Rising Voices water group sessions, and then moving into the panel session and for today. So with that, Heather, I will turn it back over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Julie. As Julie said, we are, following on from conversations last year when we were able to be together here in Boulder, and also, of course, bringing new experiences, new thoughts to this discussion. So just a very high level summary of some of the water group conversations from last year when we were able to meet in person, to sort of bring in as background to the panel discussion that Carletta Chief and Melissa Watkinson facilitated, and for our breakout group discussions that we will have shortly. The water groups last year discussed issues related to water quality and quantity, echoing some foundational sentiment that water is life, should be treated with the utmost regard and with urgency. The water group discussions delved into issues concerning data sovereignty, language, and institutional barriers, and the ever-persistent tension between Western perspectives and traditional ecological knowledges. Participants were quick to identify that water must be perceived as a relative, as something alive, because if students can understand water, they can understand how to address the issues surrounding its conservation and its treatment. The groups conveyed a common message to reconnect with the sacred relationship to water, and to understand how to adequately and ethically balance Western science techniques with various Native understandings and knowledges about water. The groups also identified the need to appropriately address the interconnectedness of water across water access, interconnectedness of water access and management as a key to tribal identity and sovereignty, and to push for more legislation and legal ability to assist this process. And I'll just add that those have been themes throughout the water breakout group meetings at each of our annual workshops as well. Some of the characteristics of the converging voices, the intercultural scientific research that the water groups identified, included a reminder of what it means to work in a place-based community and keeping an eye on the long term. So extreme events, heavier precipitation, aquifer declination, soil moisture, but also how changes are proceeding at a pace that is appropriate to the community and the priority being addressed. We can start together with the why. To what end is the research about water being done? What is the shared vision of the outcome? We can be prepared to get out of our comfort zone, take responsibility, and to listen. Respect, sharing stories, and trusting relationships, both existing and new relationships, are essential. It is critical to acknowledge the history and the value of culture-based data acquisition, knowledge, and actions, including human and non-human considerations. Using our senses, sensitivity, mind, and spirit all together. Participants called on the importance of teaching project management skills to younger generations and providing opportunities for work opportunities and intersections of knowledge and shared learning between youth and elders. And with that overview and summary, I will hand things to Melissa.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Heather. First off, wanted to thank the folks who were participating on the panel for the water session this year. Hopefully you've had a chance to review the recording of that panel discussion. Thank you to Janine Yazzie, Otakie, Ben Conroy, Natalie Michelle, and Joe Hostler for sharing your knowledge and community experiences for this Rising Voices Water Systems Working Group session. This year, we've shifted the water systems discussion a bit to acknowledge the many different ecosystems and ways that we connect to water. We have focused our discussions around two primary water systems, freshwater ecosystems and marine ecosystems. In the panel, we reflected on questions about what aspects of marine ecosystems and or freshwater ecosystems are meaningful in your community? What changes are occurring in these ecosystems, and how are these changes important to you, your work, and your community? How does science and sovereignty respond to these changes? The recording is available on the Rising Voices website, and Julie will share that now in the YouTube chat. Shifting a little bit, I'd like to introduce you to a trailer for the film of The Olympic Coast as a Sentinel, Tribal Communities on the Forefront of Ocean Change, which shares the perspectives and experiences of the collaborative work of the many partners working together on tribal resiliency to ocean changes in the Olympic Coast, which is in the northwest corner of Washington State. The full film will be featured in the 2020 River and Ocean Film Festival, and Julie is going to share a link to how you can get more information in the YouTube chat as well. I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Melissa Poe and Meg Chadsey from Washington Sea Grant for the past few years on this project. And as an Indigenous person myself and growing up in Washington State, I have had an opportunity to really learn and reflect on how changes in our ocean and our marine ecosystems can affect the community aspects of Indigenous peoples. Hopefully we can continue this conversation into the breakout groups. And I know that the folks, Natalie Michelle and Joe Hostler, Natalie being from Maine and Joe from California, in our panel discussion, we had many different overlaps and kinds of experiences that our communities are facing when it comes to changes in the ocean. And so hopefully this can offer just a little bit of more insight into that experience in the Pacific Northwest. Now we will be transitioning to the breakout groups. Once you're in the Zoom room, you'll be asked if you'd like to join the marine ecosystems or freshwater ecosystems breakout group. The information was sent to you in a reminder message this morning, and Julie will resend the links now to the Rising Voices listserv if you don't have that on hand. Please check your email. Thank you. We'll see you all there. Thank you so much.
The Olympic Coast is home to 4 coastal treaty tribes. The people of the Quinault Indian Nation and of the Makah, Ho, and Quileute tribes have lived along these shores since time immemorial. The livelihoods, traditional foods, and cultures of these indigenous communities are deeply rooted in this place. Olympic Coast tribes are highly dependent upon fish, shellfish, and other marine resources for their cultural, social, and economic well-being.
Manila clams, horse clams, crab, gooey duck, fish, crab, razor clams. They're all important to all of us out here.
Many of these species are what we think of as cultural keystones. That is, they're centrally important to tribal community life.
The razor clams, those are a big part of our lifestyle, both as a food and as a source of revenue. Very few job opportunities, so this offers tribal members an opportunity to go out and supplement their income. That some of these guys can make some really good money on just one clam tide.
I mean, I'm an elder myself, but I still dig pretty good. I could probably dig 100 some pounds a day if I on a good day.
But their continued access to these resources is at risk as the chemistry of our ocean changes. Ocean acidification is making the ocean less hospitable to many sensitive marine species upon which the tribes depend, and its effects are being felt more dramatically on the Olympic coast. From above and below, human and natural sources of CO2 are pushing the Olympic coast marine ecosystem towards biological thresholds.
The outer Olympic coast, it's got more species, or arguably more species, of marine invertebrates and seaweeds than any other place on the west coast of North America. And those biota are at great risk to OA, to ocean acidification, as we go into the future.
These animals are continuously exposed to acidified conditions and then sometimes hit by this hammer of low oxygen conditions that can really be this 1-2 punch they can't escape from.
The West Coast is going to possibly see significant pH problems quicker than other areas. Is also extremely troubling.
Concerns with ocean acidification for the Makah tribe are really significant because there are some resources that folks just couldn't comprehend being without. And if you're saying that we can't take our food from the sea, it seems impossible. Most Makahs cannot remove themselves. We're inextricably linked to the ocean in that way.
The Quinault Indian Nation depends upon its coastal resources as they have for millennia, and anything that's out there lurking in the water that could be impacting those is of deep concern. What we don't know is the scariest part. What we do know is frightening.
The social, cultural, and economic impacts of ocean acidification are really unknown, except for by the people who are already experiencing it, and it's their stories to tell.